Hey, Niners Nation. Let's dive deep into what's going on with San Francisco as we edge closer to the kickoff of the season, because right now, things are looking more complicated than many anticipated. Kyle Shanahan himself admitted that the team simply hasn't been able to run the kind of training camp they envisioned, and that lack of preparation is really showing, particularly at the wide receiver position, which could face some serious challenges heading into Week 1 against Seattle. When you break it down, it's not just a matter of a few minor injuries. The Niners are dealing with a situation where nearly every major player at that position is either sidelined, recovering, or facing potential suspension, and that creates a lot of unknowns for an offense that relies heavily on timing, chemistry, and the ability to execute complex schemes. Russell Gage had been quietly having one of the most promising camps of any receiver on the roster. His routes were sharp, his hands reliable, and it looked like he was on track to make a real impact as one of the key weapons in Shanahan's arsenal. Unfortunately, an MCL sprain has him projected to be out for at least a week to 10 days. While that may not necessarily rule him out for the opener against Seattle, in a scenario where injuries are already piling up, any delay in returning to full strength could spell trouble. Training camp is designed to allow players to build timing, work on chemistry, and adjust to the speed of the NFL game. And missing those reps, even for a short period, can ripple through the offense in ways that aren't always obvious until game day. What makes this even more pressing is that, right now, 6 of the Niners' top 7 receivers are either dealing with injuries or suspensions. That's not an exaggeration. When you look at who's available and who's not, it's a lineup that could force the team into heavy 2 tight end sets and a run-first approach, which is a style the team can play. But it's not the ideal setup when the goal is to hit the ground running and open up the field with multiple receiving threats. For Week 1, the starting wideouts could realistically be a combination of Ricky Pearaw, Robbie Chosen, Russell Gage if he's back, and maybe Jawan Jennings, but even that is highly tentative given ongoing recovery concerns. Brandon Aiyuk, who has been impressive in rehab workouts, is still not expected to be ready for action and will likely start the year on the physically unable to perform list. While Jordan Watkins is still dealing with a high ankle sprain, Jacob Cowing re-injured his hamstring, and Demarcus Robinson is facing a 3-game suspension to start the season. This situation has pushed San Francisco into a position where roster flexibility and creative thinking are absolutely essential. They can no longer rely on depth alone because the wide receiver room has been depleted to the point where the team has had to bring in multiple players just to keep up with training camp reps and preseason drills. Many of these players were signed knowing that they would likely be cut or waived eventually, but they served a critical purpose in helping the starters prepare and maintain a semblance of normalcy in practice scenarios. Even so, the need for a legitimate playmaker at wideout has never been more apparent, and it's a conversation that Shanahan and the front office are clearly having behind closed doors. Adding to the complexity is the recent acquisition of Sky Moore from Kansas City. Moore, a former second-round pick, has shown flashes of explosiveness both as a receiver and return specialist, but he also comes with questions about consistency and ball security. He represents a strategic addition more than a transformative one, a player who can step in and provide situational impact while the team navigates a roster riddled with uncertainty. The Niners are hoping to extract what they can from Moore in bubble screens, jet sweeps, reverses, and simpler routes designed to get the ball into his hands quickly and minimize risk while maximizing opportunity. The move was low cost, a late-round swap that allows the team to keep its head above water, but it's far from the full solution the offense needs. Even with Moore on board, the Niners are still exploring every avenue to stabilize the wide receiver room. There's ongoing speculation that San Francisco could pursue another trade, targeting someone like Romeo Doubs from Green Bay, a player with proven NFL experience and the ability to fit into Shanahan's system. Doubs has been productive over the past several seasons, showing he can generate yards after the catch, stretch the field vertically, and contribute in multiple schemes. His addition could provide immediate reinforcement, a more reliable target to pair with what remains of the team's healthy core, and help bridge the gap until injured players return. Looking at the broader picture, the offense's reliance on timing and synchronization makes these decisions more critical than they might appear at first glance. Wide receiver play isn't just about catching the ball. It's about knowing how to read a defense, adjust routes on the fly, and create spacing that opens lanes for the run game and underneath passing options. Every missed rep in training camp is a missed opportunity to reinforce that rhythm, and the Niners can't afford to gamble with multiple players sidelined simultaneously. Demarcus Robinson's suspension is another blow that complicates the early season picture. He had a standout year last season with the Rams, averaging over 16 yards per reception and becoming a reliable red zone threat. San Francisco brought him in on a low-cost contract, expecting him to contribute immediately, and now he will be unavailable for the first 3 games. While the team can appeal, the NFL rarely overturns these types of rulings, which means Shanahan will need to find creative solutions to maintain production and field a competitive group of pass catchers. Even beyond the top-tier names, the Niners training camp has been a revolving door of wide receivers trying to prove themselves, many of whom are serving as temporary placeholders just to ensure that practices and preseason games can run smoothly. The team has invested heavily in scouting and acquiring potential contributors, but the reality is that depth alone cannot substitute for experience, chemistry, and game-ready skill sets. As a result, the urgency to identify, acquire, and integrate a legitimate wide receiver has become one of the front office's top priorities in the past few weeks. The trade market, free agency, and waiver wire are all being actively monitored for possible solutions. While high-profile names like Amari Cooper or Odell Beckham Jr. are off the table, there is still a pool of NFL-ready players with experience, versatility, and the ability to step into a complex system quickly. Kendrick Bourne, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Dante Pettis, Robert Woods, and others represent potential options, each with a unique skill set that could complement the Niners' offense if the right deal can be made. It's not just about filling a roster spot. It's about strategically selecting a player who can help the offense hit the ground running despite multiple setbacks and absences. The reality is that heading into the first week of the season, San Francisco's wide receiver situation will be tested like never before. Injuries, suspensions, and ongoing recovery timelines create a scenario where even small mistakes in planning or integration could have outsized effect. In essence, this is a wide receiver crisis in real time, and it's a test of the front office's ability to adapt, the coaching staff's creativity, and the players' resilience. From rookies stepping up in practice to veterans rehabbing injuries, every element matters. The Niners cannot afford to take the first few games lightly, and it's a situation that will be closely monitored by fans and analysts alike. As the roster continues to adjust, and as the trade market and waiver wire provide opportunities, the narrative of San Francisco's opening weeks will hinge on whether they can overcome these challenges and find production, consistency, and reliability at the most critical position in the passing game. Now, as we dig deeper into the Niners' wide receiver predicament, it becomes clear that the team's front office is operating in a high-pressure environment, juggling injuries, suspensions, and roster limitations while trying to ensure the offense remains dynamic and unpredictable. The wide receiver room, which is usually one of the most versatile and exciting units on the field, has become the focal point of strategic planning and problem-solving. Every decision regarding player acquisitions, training camp reps, and play design is now magnified because even a single misstep could affect the opening games in ways that ripple for the rest of the season. This is where the genius of Kyle Shanahan is both tested and required. He has to find ways to blend available talent, integrate new additions, and maintain the offensive tempo that the Niners are known for. The reality is that with Brandon Aiyuk likely starting the year on the physically unable to perform list, Jordan Watkins' high ankle sprain, Jacob Cowing's hamstring setback, and Russell Gage's uncertain availability, the team's dependency on less experienced players or newly acquired talent like Sky Moore becomes crucial. Moore has flashed potential in both the return game and on the field as a receiver, but he is far from a finished product in terms of consistency, and Shanahan's offense demands not just raw talent, but precision and timing. Moore's ability to fit into the scheme could be accelerated by his experience in a pro-style system, but he's being tasked with stepping into a high-pressure situation immediately. The coaching staff is likely going to emphasize simplified concepts early in the season to maximize his effectiveness while mitigating risk, using quick routes, motion concepts, and gadget plays to generate separation and create opportunities for explosive plays. Meanwhile, the suspension of Demarcus Robinson adds another layer of complexity. Robinson was expected to be a critical piece of the receiving group, offering a reliable target in the intermediate and red zone areas. His absence for the first 3 games forces Shanahan to adjust game plans, possibly leaning more heavily on tight ends and running backs for short yardage and check-down options. The Niners' offensive balance is at stake because losing a player of Robinson's experience and skill could compress the field, reduce spacing for the run game, and put additional pressure on the quarterback to make plays with a more limited arsenal. Every route, every snap, every play call becomes even more important under these conditions, and the coaching staff must prioritize matchups and situational efficiency over creativity in certain scenarios. San Francisco's roster flexibility has been tested like never before. Multiple tryouts, workouts, and short-term signings have been conducted to ensure there are enough players for practice drills and preseason games. However, as training camp concludes, the team faces the reality that stopgap measures alone will not be sufficient. The wide receiver position requires not only depth, but quality and readiness, and the margin for error is shrinking rapidly. The Niners are now in a position where proactive measures, whether through trades, waiver acquisitions, or strategic roster adjustments, are necessary to avoid starting the season with a compromised offense. Trade discussions have become a central topic behind the scenes. The league-wide conversation has included names like Romeo Doubs from Green Bay, Curtis Samuel from Buffalo, and veterans such as Kendrick Bourne, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Robert Woods, who bring a combination of experience, versatility, and familiarity with similar offensive concepts. Each potential addition is being evaluated not just for talent, but for immediate impact. Shanahan needs players who can step into the system and perform at a high level without requiring extensive acclimation. The challenge is finding players who are healthy, fit the offensive scheme, and are available at a reasonable cost, whether in terms of draft compensation or salary cap considerations. Romeo Doubs, in particular, stands out as a potential high-upside addition. Over the last few seasons, he has consistently demonstrated the ability to stretch the field, create separation, and make plays in critical situations. His production in Green Bay, including over 1,700 yards, an average of 11.5 yards per catch, and 15 touchdowns in previous seasons, highlights his capacity to contribute immediately. Doubs also brings experience in a system with similarities to San Francisco's offensive philosophy, which could accelerate his integration and provide Shanahan with a player who is capable of producing even under challenging circumstances. Beyond Doubs, players like Curtis Samuel offer versatility that is particularly valuable in a Shanahan offense. Samuel can line up in the slot, outside, or even in motion to create mismatches against linebackers and safeties. His experience in Buffalo, where he was frequently utilized in motion and in screen concepts, aligns with the type of plays Shanahan often calls to leverage speed and agility. Similarly, Kendrick Bourne and third down situations. While each of these players presents unique strengths, even beyond the tactical considerations, third back and his targets will be adapt quickly to changing personnel, anticipate the tendencies of new receivers, and maintain the rhythm required to execute Shanahan's intricate passing schemes. The Niners coaching staff must ensure that every adjustment, whether in practice or game planning, reinforces timing, familiarity, and trust so that when the opening whistle blows, the offense can perform cohesively despite the uncertainty surrounding its personnel. San Francisco's approach in the coming weeks will likely be a mix of proactive acquisition, targeted training, and situational strategy. The front office will continue to explore the trade market, waiver wire, and free agency for players who can provide immediate impact. Coaching staff will focus on maximizing reps for available receivers, developing timing with the quarterback, and implementing simplified but effective game plans. Players stepping into expanded roles will need to rise to the occasion, demonstrating skill, awareness, and reliability under pressure. The combination of all these factors will determine whether the Niners can overcome adversity and enter the regular season with an offense capable of contending at the highest level. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Brandon Aiyuk's arrival at the San Francisco 49ers is already stirring a whirlwind of speculation among fans, analysts, and rival teams, creating a buzz that refuses to settle. The whispers surrounding his potential impact on the team's offensive scheme have grown into almost tangible excitement, as insiders suggest that Aiyuk could be the spark that finally pushes the 49ers' attack to a new stratosphere. Observers have noted his ability to stretch defenses with his speed and agility, drawing comparisons to some of the league's most electrifying receivers. Every practice report, every offhand comment from coaches, and even subtle hints in team social media posts have been magnified in forums and fan communities, creating a near-mythical aura around Aiyuk's first season in San Francisco. Rumors abound that the coaching staff is redesigning certain playbooks specifically to maximize his strengths, from intricate route combinations to more deep ball opportunities that exploit his explosive acceleration. The chatter in locker rooms and media circles suggests that teammates are equally invigorated, with some hinting that Aiyuk's presence could invigorate young talent, elevate morale, and instill a newfound fearlessness in the team's approach to offensive play. Analysts are already projecting scenarios in which Aiyuk becomes the focal point of the passing game, drawing double teams that, paradoxically, open up opportunities for others, a dynamic that could redefine the 49ers' identity. The timing of Aiyuk's addition has fueled speculation that the 49ers are preparing for a full-scale offensive renaissance, possibly aiming to dominate both the NFC West and the broader league landscape with unprecedented versatility and unpredictability. Inside sources suggest that his chemistry with quarterback Brock Purdy has been progressing rapidly, with hints that the two share an almost telepathic understanding on certain deep routes, an element that could translate into game-breaking plays if harnessed consistently. Rumors from practice sessions indicate that Aiyuk's explosiveness in open field situations has been matched by a remarkable work ethic, with reports of late-night training sessions and film study marathons that have teammates whispering about his almost obsessive commitment to improvement. Sports insiders have been buzzing about the possibility that the 49ers could leverage Aiyuk's presence to redefine defensive matchups, forcing opponents to allocate more attention and resources to counter his agility, speed, and route-running precision. This speculative excitement has manifested in a frenzy of media narratives, with pundits debating everything from his potential touchdown totals to the ways he could alter the defensive scheming of every team he faces. Fans have taken to social media to speculate on which classic plays will be reinvented to accommodate his style, imagining breathtaking catches, acrobatic sideline grabs, and game-changing deep threats that could dominate highlight reels. Even casual observers are starting to weigh in, suggesting that Aiyuk's presence could usher in a period where the 49ers' offensive identity becomes as feared and respected as any historically dominant unit in recent memory, a storyline that seems almost too tantalizing to ignore. Rumors of Aiyuk's integration into the 49ers' offensive framework have ignited debates that extend far beyond individual performance, touching on coaching philosophy, team dynamics, and even potential playoff trajectories. Speculation suggests that head coach Kyle Shanahan may be envisioning a more aggressive, vertical passing approach designed to exploit Aiyuk's strengths, a shift that could recalibrate the entire offensive balance and force opposing coordinators into reactive game plans. Analysts are circulating narratives of Aiyuk becoming a true X factor, a player whose unpredictability in motion could generate mismatches that extend beyond traditional coverage schemes and alter defensive play calling league-wide. Rumors have also emerged that Aiyuk's presence is influencing other key roster decisions, as executives and scouts may now be considering complementary pieces who can thrive in a high-octane offense designed around speed, precision, and strategic misdirection. Observers have noted that even subtle changes in practice alignment, route timing, and personnel packages appear to be calibrated with Aiyuk in mind, fueling speculation that the team's offensive identity is being subtly reshaped around him before he even sets foot in a regular season game. Media chatter is rife with imaginative scenarios in which Aiyuk's impact could manifest as record-setting yardage, clutch fourth-quarter touchdowns, and a rejuvenated team energy that lifts the 49ers into serious Super Bowl contention. Fans have latched onto every snippet of information, from early preseason snaps to casual interviews, creating an ecosystem of speculation that feels as much about storytelling as football, with a narrative of Aiyuk's explosive potential drives excitement to almost feverish levels. The notion that Aiyuk could fundamentally redefine the 49ers' offensive identity has inspired an entire ecosystem of analysis, rumor, and debate, with pundits examining his every physical attribute, from hand size to speed, and extrapolating how each could translate into game-changing moments. Sports writers and commentators have speculated that his unique combination of agility, route intelligence, and playmaking instincts could render traditional defensive schemes ineffective, forcing rival coordinators into improvisation and riskier calls, a dynamic that excites fans and commentators alike. In addition to his physical attributes, the chatter surrounding Aiyuk's mental approach to the game has fueled speculation about leadership potential, work ethic, and locker room influence, with rumors suggesting that his confidence could inspire veteran teammates and embolden younger players to elevate their performance. Speculative reports hint that his integrators as a serious Super Bowl contender. Rumors from training camp hint hypothetical scenarios in which Aiyuk's speed, route running precision, and field awareness produce explosive scoring drives, create mismatches that redefine defensive priorities, and catalyze a chain reaction of strategic adjustments across the league. Social media chatter reflects the widespread excitement, with fans debating how his presence could influence draft strategies, trade decisions, and even coaching philosophies, suggesting that Aiyuk's impact could resonate far beyond the playing field. Insider whispers hint that the coaching staff is experimenting with creative schemes, pre-snap motion, and unconventional route combinations designed to exploit his unique skill set, fueling speculation that the 49ers' offensive evolution is already underway. Media narratives and fan conversations have merged into a continuous stream of anticipation, rumor, and possibility, framing Aiyuk not just as a player, but as a potential transformative force whose presence might alter the trajectory of the 49ers franchise and inject a level of excitement that reverberates throughout the NFL, making every practice, every snap, and every game a subject of intense scrutiny, debate, and expectation. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.